This is a talk on protecting critical infrastructure in our connected world. Victor here is an assistant director at Southwest Research Institute. He's a certified information systems security professional, and he's got 20 years of experience leading the development and testing of embedded systems, supported and led many projects across multiple industries, including critical infrastructure, commercial automotive, transportation, aerospace, and defense. So, Victor, all yours.
Good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk with you all about such an important topic. My team and I focus on improving security for operational technology, which I define as anything that's not traditional IT. So connected devices on networks. Think oil refineries. One of the things that my team might do is go out and penetration test an oil refinery, identify vulnerabilities, and make recommendations for improvements. We do work in automotive. We've had OEMs send us full vehicles. We attack them, look for vulnerabilities, show them how we exploited the vulnerabilities, and tell them how to improve their security. For critical infrastructure, CISA is a great resource. When I was preparing for this talk, I went and grabbed a screenshot of some of their recent notifications, warnings for critical infrastructure. These are cyber incidents or people were targeting specific devices, notifications to the public to try to increase awareness. They release one maybe every other day. There is so much going on that they can barely keep up with their notifications. Right. So talk about security. What do we see when a real cyber incident happens? And I've seen lots of charts like these, and I borrowed this from a website. The numbers are always a little different depending on the data. I think high level gives you a good picture of the types of cyber incidents that we see. The largest portion on this graph is 31%, is phishing, hacking, and malware. And the reason that those are all tied together is because phishing is also often paired with malware. So if you get a phishing email, it's going to have an attachment or it'll have a link to click. It will install malware on your computer. It can execute ransomware, encrypt your files, or it can give a hacker access to everything that you have access to. So one example of that, one of our team was interested in malware for cell phones, and they downloaded a free tool, Metasploit. Metasploit has paid versions, but they were using the free tool. It took them about 4 hours on a weekend. They compiled a piece of malware, put it on one of our lab cell phones, and they asked a group of us to come in. They handed me the phone, and I'm holding it up, and they turned their laptop around. There's no indication on the phone, black screen, and they had a picture of me from the phone, taken remotely. They also had the ability to grab messages, phone calls, contacts. They could record audio, scary stuff. The main protection against malware like that being installed on your cell phone, when you install an app, and I'm sure hopefully most everybody has seen this, it will tell you, either Android or Apple, what the app is asking for access to. And when you install that malware, it tells you, I want access to your contacts, to your messages, to your audio, your microphone. And if you see that, at least I would encourage you to take a second, and does it make sense for this app to have access to those things? And slow down. That is the main protection phones have against it. The next most common incident is from user error. And a number of years ago, I went to a conference for a Department of Transportation, or for transportation more generally, and a state DOT, Department of Transportation, had been hit with a ransomware attack, and they talked about how it happened. They had a developer who was doing their job, whatever their job was they were tasked to do. They were gung-ho and going, and they spun up a Windows XP virtual machine. And even back then, Windows XP was deprecated, has known exploits. In general rule, you shouldn't be using Windows XP for anything. And he connected it to their internal DOT servers, and then he bypassed their firewalls and connected it straight to the internet. It took 7 minutes to be hit with a ransomware attack. There are bots out there scanning, looking for those vulnerabilities, found it, hit it. It took them months to recover. All comes back to a user error. They weren't trying to do anything wrong. They made a simple mistake. So what are hackers trying to do? And this is far from a comprehensive list. There is all kinds of motivations for hacking, including mine. A lot of what we do is for research and development purposes. trying to, white hat hacking, trying to raise the bar for security in all the industries we work in. But looking at the bad guys, what are they motivated by? And the biggest thing's money, of course. Ransomware attacks are super common in a lot of foreign countries. There are not severe repercussions for hacking. So they can go out and run this, make what to them is a lot of money, or even to most of us is a lot of money in some cases. And there's very little risk. And it's interesting. One of the ones I'm going to talk about, one of the hacks, it has to do with a battle, and and when there's a military conflict, it's contained to a physical area, but cyber attacks are not. Data exfiltration, especially our technology companies, their value is in their IP that they've created. They create software, they create designs, and they build them, and these things are their value. And so if people get access to them and dump their servers, they can go and sell it to an unscrupulous company. And that's especially true in countries where that don't have as strong of IP protections as the United States. That would not work here. You would have repercussions. You could go and sue them and get their money back. All right, the next class is not motivated by money. These are generally funded by governments. They're often affiliated with the military or an extension of the military. And when they're attacking critical infrastructure, they're trying to break stuff. They want to manipulate it. They want to tear it apart, cause damage. If they can't do that, they want to disable it, keep it from doing whatever it is that it's supposed to do. So one example, the Colonial Pipeline. This is a pipeline that runs from Texas up to most of the East Coast, and it takes fuel, gasoline, up to everyone on the east side of the United States. They were hit with a ransomware attack. It hit their billing system, so it didn't actually hit the industrial control pieces, the pumps or the valves. It hit their billing system, and the company wasn't able to track the flow of petroleum. It wasn't able to bill their clients, so they stopped. This created a fuel shortage on the East Coast for a couple of weeks. Very, very, very scary. They ended up paying a $4 million ransom. The U.S. government was able to claw back $2 million of it, which at least they got a piece of it back. And they also exfiltrated data. They stole 100 gigabytes of data. And when you're talking about billing systems, you can imagine it's going to have sensitive financial information you don't want bad guys to have. When Russia invaded Ukraine, they paired their military offensive with a cyber attack or a series of cyber attacks. Viasat is a communication satellite network that's used by both military and civilian within the Ukraine and elsewhere. And the Russian hackers attacked this network. It was a multi-prong attack. They had a piece of malware that would wipe the memory from routers. So you have this giant communication network that's got huge bandwidth, and they wipe out a large chunk of the hardware that's routing packets on the ground. So you shrink the bandwidth down substantially. And then they paired that with a denial of service attack. So then this narrowed pipeline, they throw through a bunch of packets, and it disrupts communication. And there was problems both with military and civilians not being able to communicate in the early stages of the war. And last but not least, Stuxnet, very, very beautifully scary piece of malware. I'm fascinated by it from a cybersecurity researcher. It exploited multiple vulnerabilities that were 0 days, so nobody else knew about them, or at least the Microsoft and the owners of I think it was a Siemens PLC, did not know about these vulnerabilities, and they were being actively exploited in a while. Stuxnet is believed to be responsible for shutting down several Iranian centrifuges. It had multiple processes, the first of which was to propagate itself. It wanted to copy itself as many times as it could in a low profile way. It was specifically targeting Windows machines and PLCs, and it would look for a very specific PLC part number. If it found that PLC part number, it would go to phase 2. And phase 2 wanted to spin a centrifuge out of control and break it. And it has the ability, once it's on the PLC, to command that. There's no authentication. It has complete control over the commands that it's sending to the controller. One But if it just started spinning it out of control, there's an operator that's watching the dashboard. It sees sensors, it's seeing feedback, and the operator, if it was spinning out of control, they would manually shut it down. There's a process for them to respond to it, and it could potentially um, overwrite the software that's on there, eliminating the malware. But it doesn't do that. The operator is never notified because they're faking the data that's going back to them. So they're spinning the centrifuge out of control, and the operator screen says everything looks great, awesome, peachy. And once it's destroyed, the malware would delete itself. So there was no there was no traceability in the post-mortem when they would go and look at the devices and try to figure out what happened. So rhetorical question: why does cybersecurity matter? Right? That we have to continue to put a lot of effort into securing our critical infrastructure. Their adversaries are out there. I think the CISA list highlights that more than the high-profile attacks that I highlighted. So, what can we do about it? This is what I'm gonna wrap up with. There's a lot of standards out there already. There lots of bodies produce them. For my money, NIST is the gold standard for cybersecurity. The symbol in the upper right on my slides is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0, and it does a good job of breaking it down to very incremental steps for improving cybersecurity. Identify a lot of time when we go out and test devices or networks, our clients don't even know what they have. They don't know what's running on their networks. You cannot protect yourself if you don't know what you have. So that's always step one, identify. Then protect, step two. This is your firewalls. This is putting in your security controls. It could be secure network communication. You might put in TLS or packet authentication on your networks. You might sign your firmware or your operating systems, might make sure that your devices are patched so that they don't have known exploitable software running on them. All right. Next is detect. So this is monitoring your network traffic, scanning your networks, looking for vulnerabilities. You can't respond to an attack unless you know it's there. So detect is the next step. And once you detect it, you respond and recover and have policies and procedures for that. Risk management is how everybody should be managing their cybersecurity. There's no such thing as a fully secure system. We've tested hundreds of devices, hundreds of networks, and we've never found one that's 100% secure. And that's okay. What we're trying to do is raise the bar. We don't have infinite resources to put perfect security on everything. But in general, we have enough resources to address our critical or severe vulnerabilities, and that's where we need to start. Investment in technology and tools. Our adversaries are putting a lot of money in. They're financially motivated in a lot of cases to create new hacks. And we need to be doing the same thing on the defensive. Collaboration, information sharing. There's a lot of ISACs out there that do a great job sharing data on hacks. I mentioned CISA as well. For oil and gas, there's oil and gas ISAC. For power energy, there's the EISAC. For automotive, there's Auto ISAC. All of these do a great job getting information out there. So if you're in those industries, I encourage you to get involved with those groups. Lastly, education, training, and awareness. We're not going to get to a point where everybody is a cybersecurity expert. I deal a lot with developers. A lot of my coworkers are computer scientists, computer engineers. And I'll go work with those groups trying to tell them how to improve, there's known common software vulnerabilities. Well, if they understand what some of those are, if you're building a database, you need to include input validation. That's a known exploitable vulnerability in certain types of databases. And making sure that people are aware of that and educating them is a big part of raising the bar in cybersecurity. And that's it. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank y'all.